Three great patriots in Syria. Do you know how it happened? It was an ambush. We also have 3 wounded. They seem to be doing quite well, but we regret the loss. They were 3 great people, and it's something terrible. Syria, by the way, was fighting alongside the new president of Syria, as I was told. And I'm not surprised. He's devastated by what happened. This was an Islamic State of Iraq and Syria attack against us, the Syrians. Again, we mourn the loss and pray for them, their parents, and their loved ones. Very, very sad.
Mr. President, will the United States retaliate against Islamic State of Iraq and Syria?
Yes, we will.
And should the United States force be attacked again?
Will they see it?
Should the United States stay in this war?
We will retaliate. Thank you very much.
Donald Trump said yesterday, we will retaliate. Thank you very much. And then comes this attack now in Australia, and we're going to analyze what has been happening because the signs were clear. I mean, you could see it coming. Remember what happened when Donald Trump's administration began? Remember the New Orleans case? Right now, well, it's been reported that in Australia, they had an Islamic State of Iraq and Syria flag, according to what they're reporting now.
Yes. In the car, there were a father and son because they found an Islamic State of Iraq and Syria flag in their car. The armed men, Nayad Saeed Akram, aged 24 and 50, had reportedly been investigated since 2019 for Islamic State of Iraq and Syria ties. I mean, it was already known that there was this connection, this link between this family and the terrorist group.
Well, a group that has split into several has become more than what it used to be. Global, by the way, was it already? It had, let's say, characteristics of trying to be global for some time, but this time it's the enemy, at least among radical groups. It's more complicated for the United States since it has diversified and there are completely autonomous cells that don't even communicate with each other. So just imagine how difficult it is to try to respond immediately. Yesterday we told you about this video where you can see one of the jets flying over Syria. Precisely after these American soldiers lost their lives along with the interpreter and others who were injured. According to Trump, he says that they would be not recovering from the wounds. That also draws attention. We will see what those signs are, but right from the start, Donald Trump assures that reprisals are coming, he says. Donald Trump announces a military response today. As you know, we mentioned it a while ago and you've probably seen it around. In this area of Sydney, at a pretty well-known beach, there was a situation where a 50-year-old father and his 24-year-old son, if I'm not mistaken, were carrying weapons. They leave the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria flag in their car and start chasing people. They go straight to a cafe, and that attack apparently happened right next to a beach, and from there, all the people inside that beach started running. There's an attack in Sydney and an attack in Melbourne. There's a fire in Melbourne, which they also blame on that group. At the same time, the government, just imagine, the government of Australia decides to run. They declare the ambassador persona non grata, so the ambassador leaves.
The ambassador of Iran?
They send him back to his country along with other people who are at the embassy, the ambassador of Australia. And they don't even have to kick him out because he left on his own. Let's just say he went back.
Australia and Iran?
Yeah, the one from Australia and Iran already returned from Iran. And obviously this situation is reaching a level, let's say, at least of diplomatic confrontation. He accuses Australia, saying it's not the first time they've done this. We have to remember that Israeli intelligence, Mossad, had warned Australia about this exact situation.
They had already issued this warning, identifying these 2 people, as Naib was telling you. The young man, 24 years old, had already been investigated in 2019 by Australian intelligence for alleged links to the group's cell. His father, who owned 6 registered firearms, also lost his life at the scene. Authorities are investigating whether the attack is part of a terrorist infrastructure backed by Iran. And Israel had previously warned Australia about these Iranian plans to attack Jewish targets in the country. The Australian government, harshly criticized by the Jewish community and by Israeli officials, faces accusations of not having taken effective measures against these anti-Semitic groups.
And why do soldiers have eyes? I think they should have done something earlier. I mean, there were some very clear signs. When that attack on New Orleans happened, I think we need to go back a bit and remember that attack. There was an attack in New Orleans that, by the way, was carried out by a former soldier or a United States soldier. In fact, he was wearing his soldier's uniform. But if I'm not mistaken, it was on New Year's.
It was New Year's Day, exactly. It drew attention and the streets were packed with people celebrating the New Year's arrival. It was a mass hit and run in New Orleans. This was on New Year's, January 1st, 2025. That's how we started the year. There were at least 15 fatalities at that moment. And well, it brought up the topic of Islamic State of Iraq and Syria again, because this person, whose name was Shamsuddin Jabbar, had been inspired by the propaganda of this group. They found things that linked him to this group in his house, in his car, in a van he had rented. They also found an Islamic State of Iraq and Syria flag there. And well, the father and son also found the flag. And according to the investigation, this former soldier had expressed loyalty to the group in videos he had already shared on social media.
So it wasn't a secret that he was, let's say, connected to this group. How come the right measures weren't taken if it had already even been posted on social media? It's a topic that, yes, honestly, it's surprising, but well, that was at the beginning of 2025, so...
I mean, the first day of 2025.
We began on the first day of 2025, and now we're ending the year. Well, with at least 2 attacks already, one day 2 in a row, and another one as well, right? One in Syria, one in Australia. A maximum alert in France, other European countries which are also, well, on alert. A break in relations, well, yes, it's a break in relations between Australia and Iran. I mean, you can see a pattern there which maybe had been dismissed, hadn't been noticed. Well, it's just that if I mentioned the Dutch and Hamas and Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, it had been done, yes. It's known that the problem right now, we're going to talk about what they're doing in Africa, how they're making progress. Why is it said that it's a group with a global network? Not just that they have several groups, even more. I mean, yes, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria is already very extreme, but then there's talk of Islamic State of Iraq and Syria K, which is even more extreme.
They were responsible for this attack that happened in Moscow last year, at the end of last year, which was a super bloody and very violent attack.
A Christian concert in Moscow, right? An obviously terrible situation, right? In which, during this attack that happened back then, well, as I said, and in that sense, I think it's clear. At that time, Putin recalled those attacks that were happening between the United States and the Russians themselves, even going so far as to collaborate with other radical groups. Right here, where we're looking at, in Syria. In other words, Syria has a history that we need to remember. They were operating there at first to form what they called the caliphate. Keep in mind, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria no longer has a caliphate like it tried to have between 2014 and 2019. Those were the years when they had, let's say, a more centralized group in that region of the Middle East. And this organization brings very strong logistical and propaganda support, which some believe comes from, and I mean, there is evidence that it's true, it does come from there. Besides kidnappings and management, at one point they also managed oil. But there are also some wealthy individuals in this area who have been supporting this group. Let's say they use it, a kind of proxy war by some oil producing countries. Islamic State of Iraq and Syria has several interesting points. Islamic State of Iraq and Syria State West Africa, which is called Islamic State West Africa Province, is mainly active in Nigeria, Niger, and Cameroon. It was responsible for hundreds of attacks just in the first half of 2025. This year has been the year of Islamic State of Iraq and Syria in Africa, nothing more. That group called Islamic State West Africa Province is the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria West Africa Province. And oil workers? Oil workers? Oil workers in this area, exactly in this area. And then the other one is in the Sahel, which is this area here, which would be Mali. No, sorry. Yes, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. And well, they have taken advantage as well. What exactly? Well, the power vacuums caused by coup d'etat, all these kinds of things they have been taking advantage of, but there are more groups.
Well, the issue, for example, the one you mentioned about Mali, are they about to take over Mali? A few weeks ago, it was almost 100% taken. They would have their first country if they managed to take it completely. And well, we have the Central Islamic State, the African province called ISCAP, which is active in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and also in Uganda. And it is linked to several killings of civilians in Ituri and attacks against Christian communities. Also, and then we have the Islamic State, Mozambique province in the north of Mozambique, and the conflict continues there, displacing hundreds of thousands of civilians. And then they are also in Somalia. Although it's very small, it's called Al-Shabaab. It continues to operate in an area called Puntland and in other areas.
And well, we have to remember that they are also operating in Mozambique, that they are spread out in different groups all over Africa, and they are operating to a greater or lesser extent. Basically, it's been like the mission to take Africa, basically. And well, what's surprising is how they formed, according to reports, the cells that don't even communicate with each other. Look at Mozambique. In Cabo Delgado and neighboring provinces, there is a deep humanitarian crisis due to the ongoing attacks of more or less nothing else in that area because of Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Around 100,000 people were displaced in November alone. This issue has been happening for years in Ikat. Regions in northern Nigeria have been a hotspot of violence with Islamic State, West Africa province, which is what we were just talking about. The Democratic Republic of the Congo is another country that has also experienced various attacks. Without going into too much detail, there are reports of ongoing massacres, not on a massive scale, but they keep happening, obviously with tremendous impact. Eshagel, as we already mentioned, we talked about Somalia. What's happening? What are the countries thinking? I'm not going to say Western countries anymore because it's not just in the West. There are attacks happening in Asia, in South Asia, in Russia, in Eurasia, not just in Europe and the United States. There are already operations in Nigeria. There are military operations in Nigeria, in Niger, and in Somalia. I mean, Nigeria, Niger, Mozambique, and Somalia are the countries that are operating with military forces to try to, well, to stop them, not to attack them. There's also international support from the United States with AFRICOM, which is like ZCOM. I mean, AFRICOM is American, not African. But the military group that operates in Africa, just like ZCOM, is in the Middle East. And here is the Southern Command in Latin America. And there's AFRICOM, which coordinates attacks mainly with drones, airstrikes with planes. Same as well, but basically that's how it is.
Exactly. Basically, all the logistical support is against Islamic State of Iraq and Syria and against Al-Shabaab. In East Africa, and regarding international cooperation, the United Nations and the African Union, which is like the European Union, but for African countries, well, they work together. They are working to strengthen local security forces and also to promote what is shared intelligence. Well, since the United Nations has many countries that can provide information to the African Union, and also regional forces like the G5 Sahel, the OEC-OUAS, which try to take group actions, although with many challenges, because in the end, these countries are always experiencing constant military coups. It's a problem that makes their work more difficult, and also there's not a very clear unity within these countries, in some of these countries.
Exactly. Leonardo shares something interesting. Greetings from Argentina to the community. He also says, the worst part is that the weaknesses of the governments, or watch out, weak governments, a power vacuum, right? And then he says, added to the economic instability. That's another situation that keeps the whole problem there. Latent, and little education. He says, this obviously and prevention keep feeding those terrorist groups. These are groups that, in fact, when they realized it was complicated to try to enter other regions, they said, let's go where there's hunger, where there's chaos, where there's hunger, and we're there, all well organized. They keep moving forward, but unfortunately, they keep causing major problems. Africa, which is already so conflictive, And I don't think it's because they're conflictive, but because there are too many divisions, there are too many problems. And it doesn't help at all that radical groups say, look, I'll give you the solution. I don't even know to what, right? But they start coming in to offer solutions or just attack randomly. I've watched documentaries about their operations, and you start to think, I mean, they operate from the smallest things like stealing sheep from a shepherd to the biggest things, trying to stage coups. Or do they operate in every way? Greetings, Martin, Marcela, and Francisco Arce. There were elections in Chile.
Not now.
Now to the right, but very Republican, making their call immediately. The, let's say, officialist candidate, immediately acknowledging, even though there was still a small percentage of votes left. I mean, no, I already lost. I admit that I lost. That's it. I mean, let's say democracy is handled very well in Chile, honestly. Well, very good. Congratulations to Chile for, I think, excellent elections. And well, going back to this, is there talk about trying to counteract the propaganda? Because they've been experts since they started. They even analyzed it. I remember when these groups were starting out, they analyzed it. Designers of magazines and all that. I mean, specialists would say this is someone very professional. I mean, there are some very professional people. There's an investment not from, well, operators who are trying to give meaning to that movement.
Exactly. In fact, the Autonomous University of Barcelona recently conducted a study about the magazines. Because they have magazines, yes, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria magazines, and how do they manage to radicalize young people through these magazines? In this study, they analyzed a magazine called Davik, which is published by this group. They identified rhetorical strategies that are designed to break the reader's moral judgment and thus facilitate violence. Let's say erasing empathy with the person you're going to hurt, right? The research reviewed more than 1,000 pages of content and found the systematic presence of the 7 mechanisms of moral disengagement proposed by psychologist Albert Bandura, such as justification of harm, dehumanization of the victim, and displacement of responsibility. And according to what they found, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria not only spreads propaganda, but is also using advanced psychological techniques to promote alliances, justify their actions, and foster group identity. Based on they don't like you, you're excluded, come with us, they hate you, no, we will accept you.
Unfortunately, it has a pretty intense and effective psychological manipulation. Besides this way of operating and what's happening on social media, there's now an attempt to block, remove accounts, deactivate content, and cut off online funding. Although, well, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria is also finding ways to get around all those obstacles that are being put in place. Now it's mainly the so-called civilized countries, and that's it. We're talking about collaboration between countries that right now might even be enemies. But on this issue, they come together to try to stop these groups that, if it were up to them, would conquer the world. I mean, yeah, it's a very delicate issue. On the other hand, humanitarian organizations are also working to protect the displaced, to provide aid, and to reduce forced recruitment. They target young people and children, tricking them, but that's another issue. That's why it's like this, and I think it's been this way for a while. It's that lingering enemy. Sometimes it feels alive, sometimes dormant, but that's how it is. It goes on.
Yes, constantly, just like they literally sleep over there in Syria. What the new government of Syria and the United States have been doing is running a security campaign. This, let's say, comes anonymously from an official of the Syrian ministry who says that there is a security campaign in the Syrian desert. And what they are doing right now is tracking Daesh sleeper cells, which is another name for Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. And they are doing this in cooperation with the United States and other countries. But anyway, the one who leads that, and well, they have been making arrests. For example, regarding the soldiers and interpreter we discussed yesterday, they have already been obtained. 3 other people, they took the life of the one who shot the person responsible. But anyway, they're looking for these cells that are still there in Syria, which they call sleeper cells.
Yes, cells that you won't see until they act, unfortunately. Well, another one of the reasons, as Leonardo mentioned in his comment, for why the economic crisis is growing It's quite accurate. Power vacuums, as I said, security vacuums, state weakness, as I also mentioned. And another issue that is vital for them, and that has been the case, the reason why they have been so successful, it's cells. I mean, they operate through cells. In fact, cells that don't even have contact with each other. They will never meet. Yes, never in history will they meet. What they do is through those magazines, through those digital publications, what they do is no steps to follow. Basically, no. So those people, let's say the lone wolf or the wolves.
Let's go New Orleans.
We're going to leave New Orleans. Never. You may not necessarily have direct contact with any specific group, nor will they give you an order to do this or that, right? They just give you the information. Look, if you're from this group, you're going to do this, but just those people in their madness, they decide to do that. There was no contact, payment, or call. So how do you detect that? I mean, it's a really complicated issue. And well, that makes this group seem like it's global, and in some way it actually is. I mean, it's just that not even they know how big they are, not even they know who their members are. I mean, it's really incredible the way they operate. Well, that's part of what's happening. Right now, it's not clear what their real place of operation is. It's known that Iraq, Iran, Syria, that area is kind of where these groups have been. Although now, with the operations they have in Africa and the possible takeover of Mali, well, we're talking about them having a country where they can operate freely, right? So it's obviously a huge issue. Now, what's been happening? Well, now there's a situation. It's a warning, and I also want to highlight a case that happened at Brown University. That's there's a person in custody. For now, it's not known what happened. Do you remember there was a shooting at that university?
Yes, this was yesterday.
Yesterday night. They were in final exams at night, and suddenly an individual shoots, escapes, leaves some people dead, quite a few people, like 11 people, 12 people, something like that.
I don't know what happened in the end.
Yes, it was a large number, at least based on the initial information. We'll have to see if that's accurate. But what stands out is that it's an attack where barely a single suspect is arrested.
Exactly. Just this guy who's currently in custody, alleged perpetrator,
Yes.
not responsible. They call him a person of interest. Person of interest. Because at the end of the day, the only video there is of a person walking away at night. I mean, it's not really clear if that's not it. But anyway, that's the person they're focusing on right now. And it's also a topic that's getting a lot of attention.
But in this case, it's not known if it has to do with terrorism or if it's related to other things.
No, but what is certain is that it does have to do with terrorism. That's what was going to happen in Germany, which fortunately was stopped, where there was going to be an attack on these Christmas markets that have happened over the years several times. Well, the Munich prosecutor's office confirmed the arrest of 5 people accused of planning a vehicle attack against this Christmas market in the Dingolfing-Lauden region. And the goal was to cause as many deaths as possible during the festivities. It was an anti-terrorist operation. Were they able to neutralize this group? Among those arrested is a 56-year-old Egyptian who is known as an instigator from a mosque. 3 Moroccans who were already ready to carry out this attack, and a Syrian with logistical functions. The authorities have described this as an attempt to carry out a rather strong and well-planned terrorist attack. Right now, the 4 people are in pre-trial detention.
Well, that's also part of what's happening there, or what was going to happen, right? Actually, what was going to happen, right? That's the problem. They can't stop him. I think it's clear that Australia is about to start. Remember the level of intelligence Australia has. It's about to start. So to act more directly against Islamic State of Iraq and Syria and Iran, right? I mean, with this break that happened, goodbye to the ambassador. He's not coming back. The ambassador is asking all Australians to leave Iran immediately. So it seems that Iran is now even more isolated. If it was possible to be more isolated, now Iran is even more isolated. Because, well, they say or accuse the Iranians of being involved in that issue, and you say, wait a minute. Supposedly, they work with Hezbollah and other groups, but could they also work with Islamic State of Iraq and Syria? Or maybe the flag they left was meant to mislead, and they weren't from Islamic State of Iraq and Syria or Iranians. I mean, that also needs to be investigated.
No, an investigation is needed. Maybe tomorrow there will be more information about the university case, because it's still not very clear who the person is.
100% sure.
No, absolutely. The person and motivation will remain pending.
But since it happened during the same period as all of this, everyone started to think, so could it be because of that? I mean, could it have something to do with terrorism? Or is it an issue like what has happened in other schools of someone who had mental health issues? Something like that, right? Yes.
Someone who is also very polarized, right? There are already extremist groups like ultranationalists.
As well, it could be many things. We would have to see what kind of attack methods he used or things like that. But thank you very much, Anna Hughes. Thank you, Anna, for those memberships. Thank you so much. And congratulations to those who received that little gift, that membership, that Christmas gift. Right? Thank you very, very much. And to the whole community, well, those who leave their comments, who also watch us out there, even if they're indifferent to others. There it is. We dropped out for a few seconds, but I think we're back. We're good now. Well, let's look at several images of what's been happening today. Very interesting. And then we'll also move on to the comments. Or just to mention, we already have the faces of these people. The 24-year-old son and his father standing beside him were the ones carrying the weapons. A very sudden attack happens. But at the same time, it happened during a celebration, which is Hanukkah, the beginning of Hanukkah, which is supposed to be when security should be at its highest.
They've already put it in place. They sent police to synagogues and areas where the Jewish community often goes over there in Australia because of what happened. It was already warned about. Zayahu also noted that Mossad had warned about this, but their warning was ignored.
Why weren't they listened to? So if they already had that warning, why did they decide not to follow up on it? I mean, that's really, honestly, that's really shocking. The fact that they also had 2 homemade explosives.
Fortunately, they didn't go off. If they had, the outcome would have been even more massive.
Exactly. That would also be tremendous. Thank you very much, Novak's father,
for this
super chat. We also thank you very much. And to the whole community that supports us, thank you very much. There was a comment circulating that supposedly the police had dismantled the bombs. He first said it was before, then changed to after. Was that a mistake? If it was before, then what?
Or why not?
I mean, why didn't you stop him before? And I imagine that maybe there was a mistake with the reports, which were coming out very quickly at first. But anyway, that's how things are, right? Trump's reaction is already out, and so are the reactions from many countries here. The Israeli embassy immediately condemned the attack in Australia. Yes, many countries, especially from Latin America, don't comment. They usually don't get involved in this issue. But I feel that they should be firm in the sense of condemning these kinds of situations, right? And I think that silence is very, very unfortunate. I feel that they should commit themselves against terrorism in general, right? And suddenly it seems like that's not the case, right? At least that's the feeling it gives. But anyway.
Regarding the numbers, in the Australia attack, there are already 16 people who lost their lives, 42 injured. The Minister of Health says that the number of people who lose their lives will increase because there are some very, very serious cases. And also, while it's being investigated. She says that they haven't ruled out any hypothesis about a possible third suspect. In the videos, it looks like there are 2, but there could be at least a third one. It's also remembered that one of the attackers was subdued by a citizen, by Ahmed Al-Hamad, which also drew a lot of attention. His video has gone viral, and by the way, he had already been shot twice.
I mean, the one who takes the
gun from the shooter's father. He's a 42-year-old fruit vendor who is a refugee in Australia since he had been shot twice. And he's the one who takes the gun from the attacker, from the father.
He's a brave adventurer.
Very brave.
This tremendous one. And well, that's it. Before we go to the comments, just a few images. I don't know if you have anything else about this. Well, just a few images. Just quickly this. Do you know what happened? How is it?
The accident occurred on April 9th, but only now is some information starting to come out.
It was Russian sources who released this, the same ones who reported their plane went down, but I'm not sure why.
You can see it breaks apart in the air and splits. The tail comes off, though you can't see it. And well, 7 people lost their lives there.
Yes, there it is. It's completely broken apart there.
Well, it's strange, huh?
Very strange that it leaked in. I don't know. He says Russian sources have shared images showing a military transport plane accident, the Antonov 22 in the Inanovo region, Russia. This was on December 9th. Yes, December 9th. Yes, December 9th. I thought it was April. No.
Well, December 9th?
December 9th. Well, and also this image, so what's happening there, or how is it?
It's an explosion in the Republic, Saudi Arabia, likely from a refinery.
It says SOR, the refinery's name. So that's it. This one too.
Right? Victims, right? There weren't any people there yet.
Okay. That's good too. These Ukrainian planes have been detected, Ukrainian drones that have been hitting the capital of Russia. This time you can only see one of these drones passing by. Well, these are also part of the things that are happening now. This moment that is about...
It's triumph. It's people celebrating their victory. Jose Antonio Cast over there in Chile.
In Chile, you see, there's a shift to the right, isn't there? And this also draws attention over there in Chile. Obviously, there have been all kinds of reactions, people who like it, people who don't. But what I want to congratulate beyond likes and dislikes and everyone's personal preferences. Well, what's interesting is the civilized way in which politicians work in some parts of Latin America, like Uruguay and Chile. I think they are some of the countries that are most respectful of democracy, respectful of the law, of democracy, of knowing how to lose and knowing how to win, right? That's something I think we need to learn. I wish we had politicians who were at least close to that level.
Exactly. For example, right now in Honduras, the president said that she will hand over power to the person from her party. I mean, when they win.
Another one came in 3rd place.
Not even in 2nd.
In Honduras, well, it's already been what? 19 days or I don't know how many days.
The system went down. It was just reactivated after 5 days.
It's a shame what's happening in Honduras and in almost every country in Latin America. Unfortunately, their politicians, well, not all of them, right? But many of them, unfortunately, are just craving more power. They don't know how to compete. They don't know how to live in a democracy. And if you gave them the chance, they'd already be organizing a dictatorship. Honestly, we have to be careful with that and learn from the countries that are actually doing things right. No matter if they lean left or right, those countries know how to respect the rules. If it went left, it went left. If right, it went right. That's what people want now, isn't it? And well, that's just how things are in those matters. But anyway, right? Great for Chile. Congrats. Now let's get to the comments. How have you been? Let's do it now.
Excuse me, the intro?
Pepe, the intro, yes?
I was about to get cilantro from my teeth, but I haven't eaten any. Greetings to San Leonardo and Pepe. It's surprising they try to solve the problem with the same 2001 policies. Do they not see it doesn't work, or do they just not want to fix it? Economy, security, politics.
Good point. Who says that? Who says?
Leonardo?
Leonardo, greetings, Leonardo. Very good. Big greetings. How's everyone in Argentina? Ebreseca also says, congratulations to the Chileans, says Ebreseca. Well, yes, look, there it is. I think Marcela is from Chile, right? Several people here include an important community from Chile that always joins us. Hello, it's very cold here, says Rigoberto. How have you been? Greetings, Asen. Very good.
Thank you for the invitation to our place,
Aye.
Chihuahua, but continue. You're including the other one, right?
Yes, over there. Yes. It's because it went to penalties. They went to penalties. They tied and went to penalties. And well...
It's not fair that they add 15 extra minutes to each celebration.
Miami Villa, who says world champions. Chorizo Power. Ah, awesome Draper. Well, if you were rooting for Toluca, then congratulations. Really, congratulations. That's great for you. And that's cool, right? Now then...
Kareem Corral says Russia had other accidents in Africa. A plane broke in half. The issue is metal fatigue. These cargo planes have been used for over 60 years. Yes.
It's Kareem, right? Hey, Kareem, how have you been? Very good.
Greetings to Sergio in Portugal from Chile. Sergio says it's very civilized. Yes, that's true, since you don't see this everywhere. Honestly, greetings to Hassan and O'Hara. He says worldwide. Well, greetings, Hassan, greetings.
And do Chileans still defend that attitude? Because yes, you can lose. I mean, suddenly someone like Trump comes along and all civility is broken and all the mess we already know happens. So, well, hopefully they keep that up, right? Because it is something that can be lost, unfortunately.
Hello, Francisco Arce Caribel. How are you? Rublo is here too. And Draper says anyone winning in America is better. Greetings, Rublo. The audience is talking.
Rublo speaking, he says, that's almost how it was today. Maybe because the plane wouldn't have exploded because it was a fuel tanker plane. How, Martin. Greetings, says Campi Yunus from the whole wide world. No, I'm from Toluca. I thought you supported a different team.
Yeah, like America.
I thought you were rooting for America. Or,
Because the truth is that from America, they're going to say, why? What's wrong with this greeting? Is it Jides? You're not Jides?
No. If it's America, they know, because that's what's wrong with it. He says, Toluca won after more than 20 penalties. Greetings. Only the person who nearly crashed one of the 12 ships in Venezuela today was at risk of losing his life. Yes, there.
Yes.
Yes, I mentioned it. Yes, it was intense. I mean, they almost crashed. No, they almost crashed. There were some planes there, a blue jet plane with a military plane, with a bomber plane. They were over the ocean. Apparently not. The bomber was flying and the jet had its transponder on. He doesn't see anyone coming on the map, right? He doesn't see anyone coming. Suddenly, the plane flies very close, but he avoids it because the military plane's transponder was off. But you say, hey, okay, you're flying with it off, but you're seeing the other planes, stay away from them, right? Yeah, and he says it passed at the same altitude, which was dangerous and shouldn't happen. In fact, they immediately called the Pentagon and said, hey, you can't do this. There's going to be an accident there, right? I mean,
the plane wasn't from Venezuela. It was Blue Jet.
I'm not sure which country the company is from, but it's a blue jet.
No, the military.
No, it's not from the United States.
From the United States. Yes, United States. Strange. Yes.
Yes, a Guardian. Yes. So, well, they sent him and warned him. I mean, don't turn off the transponder.
Well, you let them know, says Marseille. What leaves me speechless is the complete uselessness of the governments, she says. Mars Alexander?
Greetings, Mars. How have you been?
Greetings, let's see who's here, she says. Champion Chorizo Power. Greetings to Tapatia. She says, I can't hear Dad, or is it my internet? Is it your internet, Tapatia? Greetings to Tapatia and Marcela Riquelme. How are you? Dilson is also here, and Emma Andrade is here too, who says, cheer up, greetings.
Greetings, how have you been? Very good.
Greetings. Let's see. Who else wants to? What's up?
Jose Gonzalez, how have you been?
Yes, Enemias says, Ciao Damos says, good evening to everyone. What's up? The greatest treasure a human being can have is salvation. Greetings, Enemias.
Hi, how are you? Very good.
Says Jerez. I'm not religious, nor do I usually follow traditions out of belief, but I find it intolerable to see how believers can't practice their faith out of fear of extremist groups or celebrate their holidays. Sure. Greetings also to Antonio Vasquez, who says, good evening, Pepe, and to Arden. Greetings from Guadalajara, Jalisco. What's up?
Greetings. Very good.
He says, what level it's difficult as long as the culture of hate exists, exactly?
Rigoberto, how have you been? He asks, can you explain what a membership is?
Greetings, Rigoberto.
Greetings. Well, basically, it's a special area where, well, we sometimes do things, right? For example, we upload extra videos and then after a while we publish them, but we give them to the members first. Every now and then we do some special live streams, things like that too. Besides that, well, among the community, and that's a plan we have. Later on, we'd like to have a meetup, but, well, that's something for both members and non-members. It's not like a subscription to support the channel. Basically, no, that's what it is right now. If you have any ideas, for example, about creating a membership, I've noticed some channels offer courses or similar things, which could be interesting too, right? Yes, it could be, I say. How have you been? Greetings, he says. We're almost there. It's already the 14th. Today there was, well, an update about the comet. We posted it on the other channel, so if you can check it out too, he says. He says, stop talking about democracy. It's more embarrassing than what's happening in Nicaragua or Venezuela. Hello, Martin. How have you been? Hi, Edil. I've been well. How about you? Greetings. Members, female members, and non-binary members, says the $1 a month OVP membership. Give yours, Mioli. Hey, good evening. Yes, it's paid. That's the one you have. The monthly payment can be $1, and I think there's another option for 5. I think it depends. It depends on the country. Countries vary. Yes, exactly. Greetings, Jerez. Greetings. What's up? OVP, very good. See you tomorrow. Greetings, Marcella. Hope you're doing well, and congratulations on the elections, says Caribe, the PP. Will it be possible to see the 3 with the naked eye at some point? And in some places? It could be that maybe with binoculars or something like that. It could be with binoculars or the naked eye if the brightness continued. Yeah, maybe, right?
But if she made another anti-tail?
Right now, yeah. I mean, no, actually it continues. I mean, even though sometimes it does. It cuts off a little and then comes back. But the anti-tail has been there since July. That's crazy, right? That's why today it brings it out. Just to remind you, it says today to remind you that the anti-tail is still there. No, I mean, yeah, it doesn't make sense, and it explains all the reasons why. Today we were talking about it in this video where I made a summary over there. And well, for you guys, he says it's like buying us a coffee once a month. Basically, it's like buying us a coffee. Exactly. It's like buying us a coffee once a month. Exactly. He says,
a medal for the civilian who halted the shooter? They'll likely give him something since the story went viral and the video is impressive. Not everyone would approach someone with a weapon like that, you know, not just anyone would do it.
Yeah, no, not just anyone would dare to do it, right? Honestly, this is really intense. He points at her and she backs away, leaves it on the floor and raises her hands.
They must be mistaking him there.
Mistake him. Yes, Fernando Gutierrez, how are you? Fernando Brezica, very good, greetings. What does it say in Switzerland? This one says Krantz. Hello everyone, alas, well, we finally have a tree, by the way. We finally have a tree. It took us a while, what is it, December 14th, but we finally have a tree. Well, here it is. We wanted to show it off to you because we haven't even taken a picture of it yet. But hey, how are you? Emilio? Hello, greetings. What's up? Who else is here? Well, some people are already going to rest. I understand it's Sunday. It's already late. It's 10:30 at night.
Some people went shopping too, right? Probably getting things ready as well. Hello to Edilce Sendeño in Panama. How are you, Edilce? That's great.
What's up?
And also, let's see. It says here, YouTuber, what's up, right? Martin Gutierrez asks, what if you're in Venezuela?
And if not, as far as we know, Hezbollah is there and never have those groups been seen there, right?
Well, what about the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps?
Exactly. Them too. Good morning, Damasiko Luna. Have an excellent Monday already for you. 15. And see that? The month isn't even over, yet the year has flown by. Greetings, he says. They beat me to it. I haven't even taken out the boxes of decorations, says Caribel.
Yes.
I think many people do, or maybe I missed it since it was so hot here.
Don't you feel very Christmassy?
I feel like the whole block on Halloween, yeah, and I felt like it was Halloween. Well, some, but at Christmas it's like really calm.
Still very calm, says Tapatio Pepe. In those cases where two planes are about to collide, each one has to turn to the right to change its course.
To avoid confusion, when you bump into someone, everyone just goes right instead of both people switching directions and getting mixed up. Okay, thanks for the info.
Tapatia, greetings to Juan Carlos Suarez, who's watching us from Cuba. How are you, Juan Carlos?
Juan Carlos, how are you? A big greeting, huh? He says, let the married ones work, he says. He says, according to what I saw on Trends, that a millionaire resident of the city of the shootout in Australia wants to give a reward to the gentleman. And also a GoFundMe. They already had 300,000. I mean, of course, well, I hope they do give it to him. But yeah. Hey, that's great. He says, look, I'm Mexican, but my grandparents are Lebanese. Very good, Hassan. I send you greetings in rubles. How have you been, Gires? How have you been? Greetings, says the one who snapped. Nothing new with the elections. It was, yes, there were tweets. Craziness. Petro, he acted like that.
Calm down, please.
Yes. No, don't even give him the idea.
Sometimes I think they give him a drink because I've seen him give confusing speeches and they serve him something in a little cup and Gilo drinks it. They give him another one and I'm like, what's going on? I don't think it's water, says Marcia Alexandre today. Marcia Alexandre, she says today he left with the excuse of a Chinese construction company. It's called Bank. Look, it was bigger than Evergrande and Country Garden put together. I mean, almost 14 million unemployed people and a cascade of massive debts.
I can already imagine the end. Everything they owe in construction or undelivered projects often causes problems, he says. Greetings, Mars, says Dad. How are you, Dad? Again, Marcella, greetings, he says. Honestly, I don't feel like it's Christmas. There's no snow. It doesn't feel the same.
Christina, are you used to the boy?
And it looks like it's going to take a while. No.
Go to Chicago?
Go to Chicago. There is. Well, there's a part of Utah. It's going to snow right now. A while ago, we did the report on the other channel about how it's coming, but I did notice that it skips Utah. I mean, the whole West. Yeah, well...
He says, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like a small plane. It doesn't look like a cargo plane. Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's a cargo plane. It's not that it broke. Who knows? It's a military plane. That's true, yeah, but why is that here? Greetings to Fernando. You already greeted him. How are you?
Yeah, greetings.
Rigor says, I'll explain to you. Did you already ask him? He says, hello, everyone. Greetings. Yes, there are only a few days left until the comet passes. Yes, I'm very high up. I really am.
By the way, there's a movie that we're halfway through right now. We came over here because it was time for the broadcast, but earlier this afternoon we were watching a movie called Coco, which is about a dog, not the story. Everything. And what's the actor's name? Forget.
Oh, I always forget that actor's name.
Let me check the actor who played the Green Goblin. Exactly. Yes, amazing. He says, hello, baby. He says, only quantum physics might explain the mysterious 13-hour movements. There's no other way, right? That's the version from a doctor I mentioned yesterday. It's not the only way to explain it, but at least he finds that it's an interesting way to explain it. But there are others, right? There are other versions, so let's explore them. Yes, is this William Defoe? William Defoe? I already told you because I saw him there.
Did you already see it?
Yes.
Yes, I figured.
But yes, Kim, I mean, I think they're going to keep coming up. Yes, that's true.
It's true. They look a lot alike, And the dog too.
Yeah, everyone check her out.
It's already on Netflix?
It's a movie about the story of a person and a couple. Basically, it's really interesting. I don't want to spoil anything else, he says, but yes, Kim. I mean, I think we're going to see other ways of explaining things to see which one can be demonstrated the most. With facts, I mean, in the end, with data, more than just facts, he says. Do they give him tamarind water? What is that? And my son, who says Martin in Russian, says no, Russia says no. You take him on the red line, that if you...
Take him...
On the line is...
The line?
Red. It's the red line. So if you take what would it be? What is it referring to?
Here it is. It says they just approved it. Can the European Union pass new laws in favor without an absolute majority? Yes, because suddenly Hungary...
Yeah, because they've been blocking everything.
Estonia or Slovakia?
Not Slovakia.
Slovakia. People just confuse them. Make mistakes, right? He says they're Vladimir Putin's pawns. This opens up the possibility of taking Russian funds, and Russia says that if they take them, that's the red line. How many red lines has Vladimir Putin set?
He has been drawing red lines for years. They make everything a red line, and all of them have been crossed without any really visible consequence, at least he says. He makes himself cry. He makes himself cry. I don't want to see everyone.
Son of no, I don't know. Who knows? We don't know, because not yet, but it looks pretty. I don't know if you saw the one from Voltavol. It was called Voldavol. I don't remember. It was also a dog that does the same thing. Is this a dog that pulls sleds? Yes, we saw it, but not me. I didn't like how animated the dog looked.
Oh, the one with Harrison Ford?
When you mention Harrison Ford, it does look too animated. But in this one, the dog looks very realistic, like an actual dog. I don't know if they only used a real dog, if they didn't use any computer-generated imagery, but at least it looks that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really good.
Yeah, really good.
Super, super good.
It's really well done. Yeah, it's really well done. Come on.
Greetings to Peggy Mogney. If I were flying, I'd ask which way is right and do this. Which one is correct?
The right from here, the right.
I'm writing. I'll give you the left since I'll probably forget.
EJEC has an EJEC button? No.
No, because it's for pilots or passengers. Remember, we're on WhatsApp and Telegram where we send live stream notifications. See you tomorrow. You know where on WhatsApp and Telegram. We send you last minute videos or videos about what's happening and the live streams
Great. Take care. See you later. See you tomorrow.
Thanks for watching PP News Live, News and Geopolitics. Here where the events of planet Earth and the secrets of outer space are analyzed like nowhere else. Thank you for subscribing.